Welcome, everybody, to Stay Curious. I'm your host, Mark Marquette. So glad you joined me today to talk about some current events in the news, is what we're going to talk about today, and mash up a little uh, history going on. We've got possibly something cool in the night air to see up in the sky. And my co producer, Marty Winkle, for over 1,400 episodes, has chosen this backdrop because I'm going to talk about that alien comet and how important it is that we understand it is really a comet from another solar system far, far away. And the implications of that, of us learning things that it's made up of and how different they could be, is the root of the universe being created and how solar systems are created around other stars. Couldn't say that with confidence 50 years ago because we had not discovered any solar systems around other stars. But today in 2025, we have probably found at least 100 stars that have multiple planets orbiting them, like our favorite star, the sun. So we'll talk a lot about that. We're going to talk about who's orbiting Earth here, but first we want to thank the Ramanujan family and their GoHistoryTravel.org for financially supporting Stay Curious and our Shuttle Fest 5 coming up in June at the Cocoa Beach Hilton. And we appreciate Rama, Mal, and their son Bharat for all that they do, not just financially, but also talking about us around the world. Here's Bharat with, about 8 astronauts there, shoot, maybe 12 astronauts. He loves researching famous figures of history, a lot of them alive, and he'll go to their elementary school where they were born. He'll talk to their teachers. It's really kind of quirky, cool, in-depth way of doing space history. And here we are. They're at the charity event at New Bransfield, Texas there, with some astronauts there. I see Charlie Duke and Cameron and a couple others there. But anyway, we thank them for their support. And before we get into too many questions and so forth, please, please, please restrict your comments to the topic of the day. We're getting way too off topic on some silliness on our threads, and that's not what this program's about. This program is a wonderful social hour for all of you that love space and love to share space history and current events, and let's try to keep it to that. Marty, you got something going on there?
Yeah, Mark, I had a couple of comments already. Where are the fishermen? So you probably need to explain.
Oh, okay. Yes, I promised that we were going to have. Well, I promised. I did. They had to leave. They were from Canada. They couldn't stay for the 4 o'clock on a beautiful day. 5 Canadians in shorts and just wanting to get out in our Florida sunshine. And quite frankly, I couldn't think of enough topics together to get our fishermen that use magnets to fish with. So sorry to tease you about that, but had to make a change there. I thought it was going to be an easy show today, and then I have to sit down and put a doggone show together. So I hope you enjoy it. But there was just nothing I could pull out of them, Marty. I was really trying to figure out. They did look over at our display case with the debris from the big booster of SpaceX and the Starship 9 that washed up on the shore in the Gulf. And that's the kind of stuff they're looking for, is that kind of stuff. So, but they hadn't been here to harvest anything. I said, come back and will tell me what you found. So thank you all for remembering that. All right. Let's keep on topic, but there's not much to interject with today until the end. And then I want some of your opinions on that. There we go, the evening sky map for November, and that blue going across the Cygnus and all the way down to Sagittarius from Cassiopeia. That is the Milky Way. And like I say so many times, the Milky Way is best in October and November when it's directly overhead and then plops down the horizon. It's gone by about 11 o'clock. And so lots of Milky Way sights to be seen. But directly overhead is the Pegasus, the winged horse. You got the drama of Andromeda, the chained maiden, and her stuck-up, beautiful wife, or her beautiful mother, Cassiopeia. and Andromeda, the princess, being saved by Perseus. So, oh, I got that a little bit out of line there. So, another stellar figure there. Terry White will be here tomorrow. I promise you. We got a wonderful donation museum of a thermal tile protection system, the TPS system of the shuttle, various tiles. I don't know what they are. I'm going to have Orbiter Chief Terry White unbox it and tell us where these pieces go from. So, and of course, your questions with our popular Terry White on Thanksgiving Eve 2025. And I'll probably have a few things to share that I'm thankful for. Most of all, the great audience that we have here watching Stay Curious every day. Who's orbiting Earth? Yep, we're going to get to that. How many people are orbiting Earth? When's it going to change? And what interesting thing is going on right now in the headlines concerning the people orbiting Earth? We'll get to that before our show's over. But Marty Winkle, talk like an amateur astronomer. The moon is 4.5 days old. Where's it going to be in the night sky?
I saw it this morning, and it was south.
I doubt if you saw it this morning.
Really?
Did you?
Maybe it was last night.
You saw it last night.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a crescent in the evening. From 0 to 14 days, it's in the evening sky. 14 is full phase, then it's more in the after way. Starts getting deeper into the night sky. So from 12 to 17 is when we do not stargaze, okay? Because the moonshine blots out all the faint nebulas and galaxies and things we like to see in a lot of the stars. But 4.5 days old, that's a few days before first quarter. When it's sunset, it's going to stand directly south and look beautiful. That'll be, let's see, that'll be Saturday, okay? So it's going to be a beautiful night to photograph the moon as a fingernail against a tree, a saguaro, whatever, wherever you live, a saguaro cactus maybe there. For Mitch Rothman out in Colorado, I don't think they have saguaros up there. But 29.5 days between phases of new to new, or any phase up there. And let me get my phone up here. I've got a beautiful app that's Phases of the Moon. You can get one too in your Android device there. But we did get an alert today that this is a really this could be a good night for aurora. There could be a Thanksgiving aurora in the sky. The sun is very active. Some of the coronal mass ejections are starting to hit Earth from a couple days ago. Very active flare. The red shows you, and green is where the aurora is going to be around the pole. You see North America there, how far it dips down. They could put on a show tonight due to elevated geomagnetic activity driven by high-speed solar wind coming from the Earth-facing side of the coronal hole, facing us. Nothing like we had a couple weeks ago, where it got so far south that people all over Arizona, Florida, even down in El Salvador, saw aurora in the sky. The Earth will remain under the influence of this fast solar wind, as seen here from the International Space Station, with a Soyuz space capsule docked there in silhouette. If you live in one of the 14 states, go out and check forecasts. They've got 14 states forecasted for the aurora tonight. And things you should do, I'll tell you here. If you're in Alaska, North Dakota, Minnesota, Montana, Maine, Michigan, Wisconsin, South Dakota, Vermont, New Hampshire, Idaho, Wyoming, Iowa, and New York. I should put them geographically, though. I was looking for Connecticut, if Vermont's going to have it. Auroras can be fickle, okay? This is based on the current data forecast, but they could get stronger and come further south. So Find a north-facing vantage point with a clear view of the northern horizon. Get away from light pollution if you can. If you're in your own backyard, get an area blocked. Look north and block the light pollution of the neighbors. Use your phone camera to scan the sky, as a phone is great at picking up faint auroras before your eyes see them. This will give you a good idea where to direct your attention. Let your eyes adapt to the dark for at least 30 minutes. This will help your night vision develop. So stay away from white light when your eyes get dark adapted. That means your pupils dilate. And wear warm clothing. Part of the fun of aurora hunting is the chase. Be prepared to sit or stand for hours if conditions are looking promising, as you won't want to miss the show when it starts. Remember the Fram 2 private space mission? They went into the aurora. They is the only crewed spacecraft to do a polar to polar orbit, and part of their investigation was the aurora, and they actually flew through it. This is an artist's rendition of that. So the aurora is something we want to understand more and more. That is astronaut John Harrington aurora up in Montana, all right, where John lives, and a friend of mine. And there's a very interesting blue object there that could be something called Steve. I'll have to ask him when that was taken. But so keep looking up, and you might see some aurora tonight through Thanksgiving night, Thursday. All right, we're going to mash up Alien Comet Update, China and the rescue ship. What's that all about? And whose orbit in the Earth is about to change, particularly with that gentleman there on RTs. But before I break into that, I'm going to talk about this alien comet. Yes, it is from another world. It's not an intelligent alien nothing. When it came into the solar system, it is now leaving the solar system, okay? It came in from below and going out. It's past Mars, and it's going to go by Jupiter, but not as close as this image shows you here, as it's heading out to the top of the screen to who knows where. We don't know where it came from. It could predate the solar system at 4 billion years old. Okay, the oldest rocks we have on Earth are 4.5 billion years old. All right, so the solar system formed about 5 billion years ago. This comet could possibly be older than our entire solar system. And where it came from is the general direction in the sky of I was thinking that they were saying a Capricorn or somewhere like that, though. They've not. I've not seen that in big print yet, so forget about that. I'm not gonna go out on a limb there. If somebody knows, they trace this back to where it came from. Actually, I was thinking Sagittarius in the Milky Way. One of the stars is pretty close to us. Regardless, the importance of this is we know it came from another solar system because of the direction it came from. It can never be captured by the sun and go around it. At the speed, over 200,000 miles an hour, the fastest natural object clocked through. And this is a gorgeous photo taken of it by amateur astronomers in Marconia, Italy. Took this over the weekend, composed of 18 separate 120-second exposures, remotely taken by robotic telescopes, okay, with the moon out even. Just a stunning picture. This looks like comet Hyakutake that was in 1995. And you see the coma is where the comet is, all right? And this comet is rather large. They think it might be as big as 5 miles across, the nucleus. And then this is the gas tail that's coming off of it. The nucleus is heated up, gone from minus 400 below zero to, maybe 100 below zero. That's a lot of change, and stuff sublimates off. Sublimation is going from a solid to a gas. Then there's pieces of gas that are ripping off of it. And all this is being analyzed by telescopes on Earth. NASA has imaged some of it, but frankly, the NASA images aren't as good as what some of the amateurs have done. And no, it's not an alien spacecraft. It's not sent any signals to us. This is a comet that is rich in carbons. Um, it clearly shows comet activity that has stepped up. This is only the third interstellar object ever detected going through our solar system. Umawa was in 2017, and Borisov was in 2019. And here in 2025, we've got the third one. Well, what's going on there? We see three objects from other solar systems going through our solar systems. We just have better detection systems now. This apparently has been happening all the time through the eons and eons that we've been here. Yeah, Marty, go ahead with the question.
Yeah, question from, I have two questions, Mark. One's from RG Jubilee. Could that comet crash into Jupiter? Like Levy Shoemaker.
Shoemaker Levy 9 crashed into Jupiter. Thank you very much, Rosalie. We're not going through comet history here, but no, it was going way too fast to crash into anything. All right, is the problem with it there? So, so no, this is not going to crash into anything. But I did see Shoemaker Levy 9 crash into Jupiter. It was quite spectacular about 30 years ago. And Marty, what else?
And Mostly Parked is asking, is the green a camera artifact?
Great question there. Those are the questions we like. No, it is not a camera artifact. It is a trace of the type of methane and other materials, ammonia, that are in this comet. That gives it away that there's something different in there. And then the purple also is an artifact of the of the ingredients. Comets are made of ice, water ice, carbon, a lot of carbon, like humans are made of carbon, like charcoal carbon in a way. You've got minerals, okay. You've got ammonia, NH3 is usually in a lot of comets, sometimes methane. And we're looking for amino acids, the building blocks of life in comets. Comets have a lot of water. All right, and when I do a demonstration of how important comets are, whether they're children or adults, they really enjoy it. And I'm going to show you a picture of that demonstration here in a minute. Is I use dry ice at 100 below zero. That is carbon dioxide that you're breathing at about 110 below zero, and just the amount of water I pour in there to make a comet is just amazing. So, but the green is an artifact of what it's made up of. Now, they put spectrographs, scientific instruments on here, and they find out that this has got some elements that are richer than comets in our own solar system. There's another photo of it taken from a backyard amateur astronomer. You can't see this now. It's gone very faint. The ion tail forms when the sun's ultraviolet radiation strips electrons from gas molecules released by the comet, turning them into charged ions. They're then swept away by the solar wind. Often bluish tail. All right. And regardless of the comet's direction of travel, the tail always moves away from, is stripped away, so the comet could be heading into its tail as it goes. But these images clearly show increased activity compared to earlier observations like this one of Comet 3I Atlas. And Atlas is the group of telescopes that survey the skies to find them. So they're going to continue to monitor this, that we've been following it since July, okay? And there'll be a bunch of doctoral thesis papers about this. There's another one before the tail got longer. As it got closer to the sun, it heated up. It's still, 50 million miles away from the sun. It didn't get close to any of our objects in the solar system. But I want to emphasize that comets, and here's comets and asteroids that have been explored up close and personal by spacecraft from America, Europe, Russia, and JAXA in here. And several of them, like Halley's Comet. Where's Halley's Comet? It's kind of small. Halley's Comet on this chart is beneath the boulder in the middle there. Halley's Comet only 10 miles across. This is another cool comet that the European spacecraft Rosetta actually followed for a year and then orbited it. Look at as it gets closer to the sun, stuff is ripped off of it, so to speak, by the solar wind and heat. You can see it looks just like that. Looks like it's been burned up, but that's kind of an analogy. And here was it when it was close to the sun, giving off uh, some of its debris. Now, these are two lobes that gently hit together like two stuck snowballs, okay? And the pictures of this have been incredible. Here's Halley's Comet up close, penetrating into the coma, if you will. This is an artist's conception of it, I believe, in there. It was pretty big for a comet, about 10 miles across. And Halley's Comet orbits the sun every 76 years. So it's going to be coming back in 2063. And I don't think I'll be around for it, Marty. Maybe you will. But we saw Halley's Comet in 1986, okay? So 86 and 76 is 2062, 63 is when it's going to be a better, closer to the Earth than it was in 86. It's going to be more like it was in 1910, and it should be glorious. So if your grandchildren will get to see it there, Dave Stange, and hopefully you will too. And tell me about it. This is what the Webb telescope sees this comet. This is the scientific instrumentation that's going on here. The triangle is just an artifact of the device that's analyzing it. Through these, we're going to understand what something from another solar system actually is made up of. And this solar system is far, far, far away, okay? And I'm going to emphasize that right now. We're showing you the upper left-hand corner is our inner solar system. That's Mercury, Venus, Earth. The yellow is the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. Big leap from red orbit of Mars and the asteroids in Jupiter. The asteroids are a conglomeration of rocky and some icy bodies that are either the leftovers from the solar system being created that didn't coalesce into a planet, or maybe they were a planet that was blown up or destroyed somehow. All right. There's been wild theories that this planet is maybe where alien UFOs are from because they don't have a home anymore. But anyway, it's a great leap from Mars that is on the average of about 50 million miles away from Earth to Jupiter that is about 500 million miles away from Earth. All right. Then you go to the right side. Okay, and as you see, the solar system is inside now the orbits of Uranus, Neptune, or Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto is even shown there in purple on the way out. All right, now you get an idea that Pluto, taking inside, okay, is, we go below that now, below that with the red orbit of this object called Sedna. All right, Sedna goes outside the orbit of Pluto. Pluto's the box in the upper right. Let's go to the lower right-hand corner. The red orbit is of a trans-Neptunian object called Sedna, about the same size of Pluto and a little over 1,000 miles. And this is the culprit that got Pluto demoted from planet to dwarf planet, because if Sedna's out there and actually the same size of Pluto, shouldn't we call it a planet? And then there were a couple other objects the size of Pluto or close to it. So we had to add 4 or 5 planets or create a whole new class of planets that these are. These are actually small objects, half the size of our moon, and yet they're very dynamic. Pluto is, even at the edge of the solar system, that it takes 4 hours for sunlight to reach it. All right, it's still enough warmth for nitrogen to float like slushies on the surface of Pluto. Well, you go to the left here, and the blue is the ring of the Oort cloud. The Oort cloud is what we have behind us here. A cloud that of sphere, of cometary material, okay? Billions and billions of comets are orbiting the Earth in this sphere. And when a passing star comes close enough, it can trigger the gravity and throw comets into the inner solar system. It might take thousands of years for them to reach, for us to fly by us, but this is part of the mechanism. and things are so far away that the or you see the outer solar system in the right hand square, that little yellow box is where Pluto is. The orbit of Sedna goes outside this box, and then inside the red is where Sedna is. All right, so the Oort cloud has not been confirmed as a seen object, and I'm not clearly, there's so little light and there's nothing to reflect off of. That's the problem. But the inference is there from gravitational movement, and thus we have inside the Kuiper belt is where the Sedna and Pluto are. They're sort of like that asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, and the Kuiper belt is between Pluto and the edge of the Oort cloud, where there's a lot of rocky debris, mostly giant comets, possibly, we think, in there. Here's another look at the Oort cloud. It's probably not a regular globe, all right, and the Kuiper belt inside of it here. Things are never so symmetrical when you're outside of gravity holding things together. So OORT, that's the name of an astronomer, Danish astronomer from the Netherlands, who thought up this concept a couple hundred years ago, and still waiting confirmation, but we have lots of evidence by comets that have passed by. We trace their orbit, and their orbit's like 30,000 years. They're going to the Oort cloud, taking a right-hand turn and coming back in. So, good. Let's see what else I got here. Oh, yes, making a comet, something I love to do. Making this comet out of dry ice in front of a bunch of school kids. Looks like that. Okay, with my personal protection gear on there. And this is dry ice and water, and I use colored sand to imitate minerals, or some charcoal in there. All the elements, methane, squirt ammonia, squirt some Windex in there. Comets are quite stinky if we could smell them. They're like a rotten egg probably smell with stuff in there. Picture I took of comet Hale-Bopp. There you have Hale-Bopp. Was a beautiful naked eye comet. The tail didn't get super long. This is with about 105 millimeter lens, so about like looking through a pair of binoculars, but you don't see the color. Of course, this is debris coming off of it, the debris tail, and then that's the gaseous tail. So Hale-Bopp doesn't have as much gases evaporating off of it as this interstellar comet 3I does, because there's a longer tail with 3I. So, and there is Hale-Bopp way up in the left-hand corner, taken by Carlton Bailey. Don Thomas has given him the love there. That was one of the shuttles that Don went up and saw the Hubble. He remembers seeing Halley's Comet, took photos of it. Keep your eye on the stars, Don Thomas says to Carlton Bailey on this shot of a shuttle on the pad. Which one was that, CB? Let us know. And there's a cool comet, Neowise, all right? Neowise was a real cool comet about 4 years ago. That is the Vehicle Assembly Building. And there you see it, pretty visible in the night sky. It always looks better in photography, okay? Because the photography, you can have a longer exposure there. But you could see this with the naked eye. And a beautiful shot there by my friend Derek Demeter, astronomer at the Emil Bueller Planetarium in Sanford. All right, I think that's the end of our comet stuff here. So just to give you a little idea, the comets are really important. What we understand about them, they are the pristine, unchanged chemistry of our solar system, how the cosmic cloud of the solar nebula developed. Okay, all of this is very heady physics stuff, I guarantee it, but still we're able to figure it out, we're able to understand it, and better yet, we're able to say what things are made of here in our solar system. Maybe we'll find an element that we've never seen before inside this interstellar comet, and add something new to the periodic table that is not in our solar system, but in some solar system far, far away. And we're talking light years away, okay, going 200,000 miles an hour. it'd probably still take 10,000 years to go a light year or something like that. So this has come from a far distance, super cold, between stars out there in the universe. Man, there's just so much space between space. That's why I like to bridge it with us all the time, okay? All right, let's get up to our program here is who's orbiting Earth. This is an interesting topic for today to end with today, as we've got some activity going on as we speak. And let me read off of some of my cheat sheets here so I don't get too discombobulated. Let's go over here. Yeah. Who's in space? We've got 10 humans orbiting Earth, 10 Earthlings orbiting Earth, all right? And 3 on the space station Tiangong of China, all right? Those 3 have been up there 25 days, but they've been without a lifeboat because the spaceship they rode up on, all right, has a crack in it, in a window. Shenzhou 20 has a crack in the window of it, and they rode back the Shenzhou 21 crew, the crew that was up there, Shenzhou 19, rode back this Shenzhou 21 spaceship because their spaceship 20 had a crack in the window, all right, and they couldn't return after it being up there for about 6 months. So they're up there, but as we speak, China has launched from their Joaquin Satellite Launch Center in northwest China. Last night they launched Shenzhou 22 spacecraft towards China's Tiangong space station in low Earth orbit in a dramatic and unprecedented rescue mission. Shenzhou 22 is launched uncrewed. The Shenzhou 20 astronauts were supposed to leave Tiangong on November 5th, but inspections revealed a crack in the window of their spacecraft from space debris. So they delayed their departure and ultimately deemed Shenzhou 20 to be unsafe. So that crew got in the Shenzhou 21 that just arrived 5 days earlier and came back to Earth last weekend. Also up there, we've got ending their crew mission soon. I'm going to tell you about that. MS-27 with American Johnny Kim on there. And then the Dragon Crew 11 is orbiting Earth in our U.S. space, International Space Station. So you got 7 on the International Space Station, 3 on the Tiangong. But that's going to change here, Thanksgiving. All right, so stay tuned. Something to be thankful for. There's the Tiangong guys that just been up there for 25 days. You got Zhang, Wu, and Zhang, left to right. Zhang, Wu, and Zhang. Okay. 2 rookies. Oh, no. We got Zhang, Hong Zhang. He's been up there, 25 days. 2 rookies, Wu and Zhang Hangzong. But the other guy, Zhang Lu, he had one expedition on Tiangong before, so he's familiar with it, and he was up there over 190 days. So they're in their 26th day, and they have been without a rescue spaceship if something would gone wrong. And I talked to one of our structural engineers here that you all know, Gary Allgaier, and Gary says that here's the launch this morning from Joaquin from a drone. The crack on the window apparently was visible. There's 3 layers of window as it goes. The way he said it worked on the shuttles, 3 layers was if the outer layer was cracked, that when during reentry the window would heat up and bust, or that crack completely, and maybe the whole window. We don't know what they're going to do. They're going to undock the defective spacecraft, and of course they'll re-enter it. They're going to undock and keep it in space for a couple of days, and then probably try to land it and see what would have happened. What would have happened if they had people on board with it. There is the Shenzhou 22. Okay, it means heavenly boat. Shenzhou means that. Tiangong means heavenly, um, uh, heavenly spacecraft, I guess. Um, this is very similar to the Russian Soyuz spacecraft that is bulbous. The crew's actually in the middle here, all right, and that's an orbital uh, second room in front there. That's the docking, and they're safely in here, and the avionics is beneath here. Rare photos from China. There's an artist's impression of Tiangong, where it's got 3 spaceships, 4 actually, a cargo ship at the other end, and 2 on this end. It's not very big. It's like 3 school buses put together, but still, they have been occupying this for some time. What was going to happen this year that hasn't is they were going to launch a, I need to look up on that. They were going to launch a space telescope. And the space telescope was going to be in the same orbit as Tiangong, so it could be serviced, moved up close to there, and serviced by Tiangong, maybe even by docking to it, but it was not going to be attached to it. So that was something that didn't happen this year that I was looking forward to. They have patches just like we do. There's their patch, Chinese space station for the Tiangong 22 mission, launched uncrewed, and once it docks, um, uh, it will dock. It may have docked already. These astronauts will serve out the remainder of their half-year mission aboard the outpost, and they'll be relieved by 3 tachionauts on Shenzhou 23 in April 2026. I suspect they may get in there in the next week or so and turn it on and see that everything works. There's Zhang Wu and Zhang. Very crowded inside of a ship like this. All right, look at their knees are up by their chest. That's part of the configuration, as you can't stretch out. You got to have your knees like that. Once they get to orbit, then they can get in that other module and stretch out a little bit. But they're packed with all kinds, anything that needs to be taken up there. The Shenzhou ordeal follows on the heels of the stranded astronaut saga of Boeing's Starliner, okay, that was supposed to be an astronaut taxi when it had problems after its June 2024 launch. And as you all know, Sonny Williams and Butch Wilmer ended up staying on the ISS instead of 8 or 9 days. They stayed up 9 months. Though they weren't stranded, there was at least one functional lifeboat always attached to the ISS. So they could have come home. And they did on a SpaceX Dragon in March of this year. So is this a wake-up call to have some sort of a spacecraft safety net on standby? We've never had that, Marty. Here is the China setting the long-duration 9-hour spacewalk this last December. One of the tachionauts outside there doing some maintenance on there. So I'm asking you all, here we have the International Space Station, okay, an artist's rendering of it, parked there are 6 spacecraft and 1 is hanging on an arm. You've got 6 spaceships are parked at the space station, including the SpaceX Dragon cargo craft, the SpaceX Crew 11 Dragon, Japanese Space Agency's cargo craft, the HTV, the Soyuz MS-21 cruise ship, and then 2 resupply ships of Russia, Progress 92 and 93. And Northrop Grumman's Cygnus cargo craft is temporarily uninstalled from the Harmony module with the Canada 2 arm until after the MS-27 spacecraft arrives on November 27th. And actually, we're going to have the launch of MS-27 Thanksgiving morning and dock live about 10 o'clock Thanksgiving morning. We'll show you what that's all about here in a minute. So there you got 7 spacecraft, including 1 hanging by a robotic arm. And there is room for 1 more over on the Soyuz for MS-27 on the other side. All right. I do know they're supposed to, I think the Cygnus is supposed to come back soon. They just burn them up in the atmosphere. So the crew MS-28 is going to dock to the RASVET, also known as the Mini Research Module. This is a docking module similar to the Mir docking module. Docking modules are something that maybe we should make universal on all countries of Earth, standardize some of the hardware in case we have to rescue Earthlings stranded in space. There was a plan for that, Marty, when the International Space Station. One of them was the Dream Chaser by Sierra. Now, it used to be Sierra Nevada, now Sierra. Okay. Let me give you. I'll get the MS. And there it is shown. This is after a drop test. Okay. By the way, the MS-28, I wanted to say, is going to launch at 4:27 a.m. tonight, Wednesday, and they're planning on docking at 9 in the morning on Thursday, Thanksgiving morning. So that'd be something to be thankful for, and we'll tell you who's involved with that here in just a second. So this is the Dream Chaser after a drop test that it had in two of them, October 2013 and November 2017. Other than that, the hardware has not been tested. This is 8 years later. It was designed for vertical takeoff and horizontal landing on top of Vulcan Centaur rocket. It was going to be in a Centaur. There it is out to Space Center where it's been for over a year. As of this September, the spacecraft's propulsion system and software had not yet been certified by NASA, and the spacecraft's initial mission in late 2026 will no longer dock with the International Space Station as planned. This is way off the track. There it is inside of the Vulcan rocket, okay, and adopting, a very familiar design, much like the NASA lifting body concepts of the 80s and 90s, okay, that were pioneered for the space shuttle. But it was going to be a rescue vehicle or potential and ferry crews to the International Space Station, then become a cargo plane. And in development since 2021, 2004. So this has been in development 21 years, Marty, and still hasn't orbited the Earth. Still hasn't even suborbited the Earth in 21 years. Not much hope for Dream Chaser, okay, to work out. A lot of money spent in 21 years on something that hasn't gone to space. This was the case with the Hermes shown here. This is this is a replica of it at a museum in Europe, I forget where. Hermes was the proposed space plane by the French Space Agency, later merged with the European Space Agency. It was similar to the American Boeing X-20 Dinosaur, all right, of the 1960s. They proposed Hermes to develop under the ESA and to be a crewed spacecraft launched on the Ariane 5 launch vehicle. Big development was going on in the early 90s, and then it was canceled in mid-90s due to high costs and unachievable performance, as well as the partnership with Russia, which reduced the need for an independent space plane. ESA thought they needed their own space plane. Then they end up going to space on the Russian Soyuz spacecraft, and of course the shuttle on there. But it was reusable, and space plane, and Hermes was never built. All right. In the 2010s, it was proposed to resurrect Hermes as a partially reusable air-launched space plane known as SOAR that could also be used as a safety net for stranded astronauts on the International Space Station. So is this a wake-up call that China is sending, that we should have some sort of a rescue situation here on Earth for anyone that's in space, no matter what country they're from? Well, you've got some problems with the docking systems being compatible, all right, though China copied a lot of Russian stuff. It's presumed that their Soyuz could maybe dock with the Chinese space station Tiangong, but not the SpaceX Crew Dragon. All right. Elon Musk offered to send a Crew Dragon to space as quickly as he could to bring Sonny and Butch back after the Boeing fiasco. That was turned down until a change in administration and then maybe some grandstanding by the Trump administration to bring Sonny and Butch back in March, which they did. And Yeah, Tom Usiak saying Skylab had a 1B and a crew module ready quickly if needed as rescue. Exactly. And we had multiple times, particularly, no, most notably, the launch to um, the final launch of STS-125, the repair of final launch to the the Hubble telescope. No, the Hubble telescope. Don't let me tell you about the Barney Rubble telescope, okay? It's had some great discoveries of its own. But the Hubble orbit was not like the space station, so 125 would be stranded if something happened. They had STS 400 on the pad, which I think was Endeavour, ready to rescue it. They even had a cute little mission patch with a St. Bernard as the rescue image on that. St. Bernard's known for bringing you rescue stuff and snow drifts and stuff like that. I think this could be a wake-up call. We really didn't have a rescue system for Apollo on the moon. Even if the astronauts broke down, they were going to starve to death or run out of water on the moon before we could have launched something there. And doggone it, Marty, that's just not the American way. It's not the military way. The military's always got a backup. Sports always has a backup play, in case the rug falls out from under them. So this launch on the need basis without a safety net is going to get someone in trouble someday. But China does have a Long March and a Shenzhou. They say they've had one always ready to go if needed. All right. Maybe they took the next one off the assembly line, and in just less than a week they got it ready to go to space, and it's on its way, and it's probably docked already. Anybody checked it out if it's docked yet? So all right, that is our look at space history and what needs to maybe be done with the Tiangong situation there. And now I've got I didn't pull up the yeah, I did. Okay, good. 10 humans orbiting Earth. Let's check them out here again real quick. There's the MS-28 logo. Every mission's got patches on there. I don't know, it's Jacques O'Noon, our friend from the Netherlands. He may design that. All right, this is something to watch. We've got MS-27 is going to be returning to Earth here. They've been up in space 232 days since April 8th. All right, let me get my little notes on this here. I got that. Crew 12 there. Oop, my fingers are... Well, where's my notes on this? So, we got a new Chinese crew up there. It's going to be up here for 6 months. And we're fixing to swap out a new crew with the Russian spacecraft as it's going to launch tonight and dock with the International Space Station. You've got, and Johnny Kim is going to come back December 7th. Is that what we're looking at? December 7th. Yeah. All right. I believe that's the date that they're going to want to bring back and have the handover. So going up to space. All right. We've got Johnny Kim will be coming back December 7th. Almost 8 months in space with Sergey and Alexei there. All right. And what a great mission for him. Also up there right now on their 117th day in space, Xena Cardman, the commander rookie there. Michael Fink has been up there 497 days total. He will be eclipsing 500 days here over the weekend. The Japanese astronaut Kim Ya, he's been up there 358 days on 2 missions. Fink's been up there on 3. This is his 3rd expedition. And Oleg is a rookie up there. Russian Oleg's been up there 116 days. So they're going to launch this Soyuz MS-28. Okay, is going to launch tonight at 4 in the morning. Wednesday the 26th at 4:27 a.m. So that's tonight. They're going to stay up there until July. All right. So that is American Christopher Lay. All right. And the other cosmonauts are Sergey and Sergey. And there's already a Sergey up there. So we're going to have 3 Sergeys up there. All right. Here is their MS-28 rocket rolled out to the pad. Tried and true, 40-year technology's not changed much. All right. This is like us still using the Gemini rockets to put 2 or 3 people in space, those Titan rockets. Let's take a look at Christopher Williams, who will be NASA's and America's newest astronaut. He's 42 years old. Going to be 42. He'll spend his October he was 42. Born in New York City, a medical physicist and NASA astronaut selected in 2021. He's flying his first mission. Born in New York City, but considers Pontiac, Maryland, his hometown. He graduated from Montgomery Blair High School in Silver Spring, Maryland. He is a brainiac. Stanford University for his Bachelor of Science in Physics, and then a doctorate degree at Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Marty, I'll bet you're dying to know his doctoral thesis, aren't you?
Sure.
His doctoral thesis at MIT was, quote, initial exploration of 21 centimeter cosmology with imaging and power spectra from the Murchison Wide Field Array telescopes.
I don't know what that means.
There you go. And he helped develop that telescope. He was part of the team that built the array, a low-frequency radio telescope in Western Australia, designed to observe the beginning of reionization in the solar system. Now, his dark skin there is because he is of Panama descent. All right, I can't think of anybody of Panamanian descent has gone to space. He's married and has 2 daughters, okay? And I love humanizing what's going on with these people. 42 years old, he's leaving his 3 favorite women and his mom, his wife, 2 daughters. Got to get his mom in there if she's still alive. And, you know, they are doing something that they love and they've trained for a decade. And then they kiss their loved ones goodbye and go on this great adventure that so few have done. So we're going to have, he's going to be a rookie, and there'll be another rookie on board this flight. The 2 Russians, where's my note? The older Sergey's 42, same age as as Williams. And he's already been in space 185 days on one exploration on this. This will be his 2nd tour of duty for the commander of the Soyuz up there. So Christopher Williams will be up there over Thanksgiving. Then we'll have 13 humans in space, and then the Soyuz spacecraft that's been up there for about, like I said, 231 days over 8 months. We'll be coming back around December 7th. They'll do a bunch of swapping and training of safety and stuff like that on there, and enjoy the International Space Station and this cool picture taken this year of the ISS against cloud cover. All right, so I'll be watching, Marty, probably, as they're going to have the hatch opening at 9:45, something like that. I see in the left-hand corner. NASA astronaut Chris Williams, hatch opening, will be shown live, and Godspeed him. What an exciting flight it will be out of Kazakhstan come about 4 something this morning. So that's what's happening in our space. Here is this crew will segue from Expedition 73 to 74. There's the crew patch for that. Thought you'd like to see. And that's mashing up the news today, Marty, from comets to spacecraft that are saving Chinese astronauts to Russian astronauts going to space with Americans over the holiday, Thanksgiving holiday. Yes, sir.
Yeah, it looks like one more happening in space. Steve Holcomb is commenting, it was announced today that Starliner 1 will launch as a cargo only, no crew, in April of 2026.
Yes, okay. I thank you, Steve. For that. We've been expecting that. Did he put a date on that?
April 2026.
April 2026 for Starliner. All right. So if you hold your breath, you might turn blue waiting on that one. But yeah, they're not going to launch. They would have to. All of the NASA legendary people I deal with say they'd be out of their minds to launch that crew again. Okay, they have to do it, and NASA won't tolerate it. And they have cut back from 6 dockings to the space station to just 2 crews, I believe. I scanned on there. Marty, did you talk to Mark Nappy over the weekend? Did you see him there at the Rocket Ranch reunion?
No, it's another person I did not know was there.
Yeah, Mark Nappy was there. He was he resigned as the Boeing leader there, I think, but he was over that whole mess. Of course, nobody asked him about it at the Rocket Ranch reunion. And that's what I'll do tomorrow is I'll show you some pictures of the Rocket Ranch reunion. 6 astronauts, 2 center directors were there, and 1 acting director, Calvin, had Honeycutt and Jim Kennedy there. Who'd you miss that? Oh, you didn't see Andy Allen, did you?
Didn't see Andy Allen, didn't see Bruce Melnick.
Bruce Melnick and I had a great conversation.
Didn't see
Andy
Mark
Allen.
Nappy.
Ate a hot dog with Bruce. You had Jim Adamson was there, and people don't even know that he was a great astronaut. He's so humble. And then we had 3 ladies there: Eileen Collins, Nicole Stott, and Kay Heyer. And what a wonderful event. And I'll show you some pictures of that tomorrow when we come back and do another Stay Curious episode, just because you want us to. So anything else to clean up over there? Thanks for mentioning that, Steve. Yeah, Starliner, I should have thrown a picture of that in there. Another idea that it would save us if, be docked there and could bring back 4 or 5 people in an emergency. But this, we're getting pretty cavalier. We've never left any bodies orbiting the Earth, thank God. But it's been some awful close calls, and hope that never happens in my lifetime. But I think we're getting away from some safety. However, we're doing a good thing in letting, I think, the private space companies lead the way, and let's have NASA be the oversight, like the Federal Aviation Association is for air traffic. Yes, Marty.
Yeah, we also launched 101 vehicles.
Oh, what?
101 rockets went up so far this year.
101. Yep, we've had 101 rockets go off. None until December 1st, Marty. I feel bad for all these people coming down here for Thanksgiving, meeting their friends. All these noisy rockets have been going off, every 2 or 3 days, seriously, and there's not going to be anything for a week. So that's just the way it is. Maybe SpaceX is giving their crews well-deserved time off as they slowed down the cadence of those Starlink satellites. Couple launches over on Vandenberg this week, but none and then. So tomorrow, our guest, promise you, Terry White. All right, let's bang Terry up there. Thank you, Go History Travel and the Ramanujans for supporting us. Go check this site out and their Facebook. You'll thoroughly enjoy it. They got so much stuff on astronauts. Bharat has been to every Hubble telescope astronaut's home, I think, or the hospital where they were born. I think there's like 30 of them. Go out and get some starlight. work that meal off Thanksgiving, and we'll have Terry here unboxing a box of thermal protection system tiles. And I don't know what's all in there, but Terry will know, okay? So you're not going to want to miss that, and you're not going to want to miss me having fun with Terry tomorrow. As I'm Mark Marquette, telling all of you, come back tomorrow. You're going to learn a lot about thermal protection system from the expert, and we're going to learn a lot about making a tremendous new display here at the American Space Museum. All right. Until then, we'll see you tomorrow. To what? To bridge the space between us. Cheers.